Welcome back, Truth Seeker. It is May 1st, 2024. Today, the 248th anniversary of the establishment of the Illuminati. And the big focus today in the news, of course, on the spreading campus protests pertaining to the war in Israel and Gaza. And one of the big stories today is that the raid last night on Hamilton Hall by the police was on the 56th anniversary of that same hall being raided April 30th, 1968 over the Vietnam War. So it just happened to be on the 56th anniversary. And of course, before these protests began, we talked about why Netflix had just put out the film about Shirley Chisholm, who went to Columbia and became the first black woman in Congress back in 1968, 56 years ago. And we talked about why Ilhan Omar's daughter got arrested 56 days after her birthday at Columbia and how this was perfectly synced with Obama, who went to Columbia and won the 56th U.S. presidential election. And we'll get to what 56 has to do with the Illuminati and their history. But just notice, this is the story on the 248th birthday of the Illuminati. Columbia, we'll get to where UCLA fits in. And we're going to talk more about that. We're going to talk more about the latest from the Arizona 160-year abortion ban overturning. They're now changing it to state law that there's a 15-week abortion limit, meaning you have to get an abortion within 15 weeks. And now the Senate's working to make this the law on the first day of the fifth month, 1/5. And remember, they overturned the 160-year ban in the first 15 weeks of a baby's development. It's typical for their heart to beat around 160 beats per minute. So you see the symbolism in overturning this 160-year ban. The first 15 weeks is the period where they have a brain that's developed and a heart that's developed. And again, what we're educating about is how if you learn this little simple code of dates and numbers and ritualism, it all starts to make a lot of sense. The Roe versus Wade overturning was on June 24th, 2022. That was the birthday of modern Freemasonry. And on the Masonic Temple in D.C., it's etched all is number. So, headline today on the Illuminati's birthday: Arizona Senate votes to repeal Civil War era near total abortion ban. And again, it was 1864. The Civil War ended in 1865. And just like the political issues that really divide the people of America, again, abortion at the very top of the list easily. The Illuminati, today their anniversary, founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt. Lincoln, who said it was the Jesuits' division in the nation and instigating the American Civil War. And instigating is the word, because we're going to talk about how all these campus protests are just being instigated so perfectly. Also, on the first day of the fifth month, 5 human skeletons, missing hands and feet, found outside what's been called Third Reich's most heavily guarded complex in Poland, where World War II began in 1939. Again, it's a reminder, Adam Weishaupt was Jesuit, but he was also Jewish. And again, it's his big anniversary date. And if you read this story, I'm sure it's going to lead to the idea that these are Jews who were tortured and now their skeletons just discovered. And if you read the story, it says that this was the big news yesterday, which was Hitler's birthday anniversary. Or not birthday anniversary, excuse me. It was his death anniversary. Hitler, who died at age 56, 10 days after his 56th birthday. We talked about why it mattered that the House on Hitler's birthday passed the spending for Ukraine and Israel, and then the ritual with it passing for $95 billion on the 201st day of the war in Israel, when 95 and 201 are very special numbers to the Jesuits. Again, they were created to counter the 95 Theses. The first Jesuit pope is Pope Francis, the first to live in Suite 201 at the Vatican. From the pinning of the 95 Theses by Martin Luther to the establishment of the Jesuits, it's 201 months later, and on and on and on. But again, that money going to Ukraine and Israel, and Ukraine and Russia is where Khazaria used to be, which is the ancient home of the Ashkenazi Jews. And those are the Jews who now mostly live in Israel. But anyway, we'll get more into this abortion thing because there's a lot more to it. Just to make a point, we always talk about the abortion rituals in 122. Roe versus Wade was decided January 22nd, 122 days after Jane Roe's September 22nd birthday. It was overturned in its 50th year of existence, just before it officially hit the 50th anniversary. And now today's news comes on the 122nd day of the year, and not by accident. Not by accident at all. So we'll come back and talk more about that and how this issue is just used by a code to manipulate people in a very evil agenda. With regards to those 5 skeletons found outside, a Nazi stronghold, they're saying that they were specifically found where this man kept his quarters, Hermann Göring, whose name equals Bavarian Illuminati. And again, CNN gives us this story on the Illuminati's birthday, a day after it reportedly broke on Hitler's death anniversary. And keep in mind, yesterday was the 79th death anniversary of Hitler. Society of Jesus, that's the formal title of the Jesuits, equals 56, like Adolf Hitler. But if you run it the other way, Society of Jesus equals 79. Again, Anthony Fauci equals 56. He's a Jesuit. The pandemic declared on his 79th day, being 79 years old. The ritual they did with the bridge in Baltimore on Pelosi's birthday was 56 and 79. But yeah, also in the news, you could be watching Fox today. You could be watching CNN. You could be watching MSNBC. You would have caught wind of this story. Everyone talked about it after the New York Times published it. Reportedly, there's this career activist, Lisa Fifth Ian, on the first day of the 5th month. She's all over the news at age 63, born in 61, the year JFK was elected, who was shot in 63. Again, if you're watching, it doesn't matter what news station you're watching today, they're all talking about the same type of stuff, just from different political angles, but they're all bringing up 1968, how turbulent 1968 was, the political assassinations. Again, I didn't make a heavy emphasis about, 1968, 56 years ago in this video, because it's something I've written 2 books about, and I've talked about a gazillion times. But again, 1968 was the year of years. Political assassinations, MLK, Martin Luther King Jr., named after Martin Luther, who penned the 95 Theses. MLK Jr., killed on the 95th day of 1968 in the nation's first major gun control legislation 201 days later. Again, Event 201 on the day the military World Games began in Wuhan, China. The pandemic simulation, the same day this thing's going on in Wuhan, blamed for the pandemic start. But military World Games credited the Jesuits and began in 95, 201-95, the first case of COVID, 56 days after Event 201. These Jesuit numbers, 201, 56, 95. So yeah, just 1968, year of years, and all the media today just bringing up the same stories again, talking about the parallels between now and 1968. And again, we've been talking about this since before this news came to us. The Shirley Chisholm thing on the Ides of March. Ides of March equals 56. Again, Netflix put out the Shirley Chisholm film on the Ides of March. Remember the killing of Caesar, about her becoming the first Black congresswoman in the history of the nation as a Columbia student back in 68. This woman, though, Lisa Fithian, on the first day of the 5th month. Again, this is connected to Columbia University, which equals 248, going with today being the Illuminati's 248th birthday. The phrase the Illuminati equals 63. They have to mention she's 63 years old. Her name, Lisa Fithian, 54 and 72. Again, daily lesson on how 54 and 72 come together. Jesuit order equals 54 and 72. Diddy's having a really rough year since turning 54. His dad shot in 72. These numbers all the time. Sun equals 54. The sun moves 1 degree on the astrological wheel every 72 years. These are big numbers to the gang that's running the show, the Jesuits. And we're on their calendar, speaking their language. But yeah, Lisa Fithian. It's just like, I mean, has anyone met a Fithian in their life? I'm not saying that's not a last name that's out there. There's a lot of last names that it's just like, okay, on the first day of the 5th month, really? Okay, what I do want to say about this, though, more importantly, I want to take you back to my story from 12 years ago today. 12 years ago today, the big focus was not on Columbia, it was on Seattle, Washington. And that's where I was living at the time. And I was downtown Seattle May 1st. And I was out there for the May Day protest, not because I'm into communism, but because there are other ideas being expressed at that protest. And one of my ideas has always been like, people got to wake up to how big money runs this nation. A small group of people run this nation. And again, you can't just hide behind these ideas of communism and capitalism. You just got to look at things for what they actually are without labels and say, how do we solve these problems? Because it's obvious there's this corporate landscape that has a huge influence in this nation, and they put profits way ahead of people. And it's part of the reason, no doubt, there's so much disease and illness and backlog in science so that people can get to the bottom of common things that are common killer. There's just so much politics and everything. And anyway, I was downtown Seattle, May Day 2012, and I followed the whole marching protests through the streets. I was talking to some old ladies that day, but I was talking to a lot of people that day, but I talked for a long time to these two little sweet old ladies who just wanted to see a better country for their grandchildren. You know, they weren't like communist crazy people. They're just like, something's wrong. I'm just getting together to talk to people about what's wrong in the world. So that's also part of the thing the news tries to do. They always try to make these events where people show up about one thing and they try to demonize it. But anyway, the point I'm getting to is 12 years ago, there were just a lot of people out there that were like those sweet old ladies that just wanted to talk about the things they saw were wrong in the world. And when they had their little march through the street, interrupting traffic, it wasn't a big deal though, because Seattle's pretty dead in the daytime when people are working. So it's not like they were ruining people's day. They might have delayed some people by 5 minutes at the most. But what happened was that this group in all black, just everything matching, all the exact same gear, the same types of boots, just move like a school of fish. I've told this story 1,000 times over the years. I haven't talked about it for a while, but in the early days, I used to always bring it up because it was more fresh too. But this group of people move in to the people marching, and they had these little black bags with a brick inside of them. And what they would do is every time the march would pass a bank or a financial institution, one of the members would run out with the bag, twirl it, and throw it with momentum and just bust through the window. And also along that route, the other thing that they would bust up were really nice cars. Somebody had like a really nice, luxury label. Those cars got smashed. And what I was pointing out is that the police were just tagging along, bicycle cops, walking cops, cops on horseback, just tagging along and letting this group of people all dressed the same in the just total all blacked out gear, faces covered, just letting them do their thing. And the march was a big square coming back to the central starting spot. And they let the entire march go on with this vandalism from this group, and it was just the one group doing it. But they let it go on all the way, and then when it had almost completed the entire square, there was a Nike Town downtown Seattle, and everybody in this group, they all ran up to the Nike Town, and they pulled out like batons, like police batons, and they all started hitting the glass. And the Nike Town glass is some kind of I won't say unbreakable because it eventually broke, but very difficult to break glass. Because, man, it was just a whole group of people just hammering it with the batons. And you could see how the glass is moving for a while, just like a wave, like a wave, like a wave. And then finally it just busted. And as soon as it busted, these cops who'd hung along the whole time, in came the gas. And then, boom, the news is there. And it's right back near the starting spot, too. So it's like where the news has already been already anyway. But just, and then instantly, I mean, we left after that, and we went down to the Pike's Place Market and the tourist area, and there's TVs up, and you could just see that's everything that was on TV, what was going on downtown Seattle, the images of the chaos, the breaking glass, the police smoke everywhere. And I just, the people I was with, I said, "You see, it's just like it's made for TV. That's why they allowed that to go on until the very end, and there's this big climatic moment with, Nike. It's almost like free advertising for Nike, and it's just that's all over the news. And then the way the news is covering is again, like, these a lot of wacky, violent protesters out there causing chaos, interrupting traffic, disturbing the peace. And it's like that's not really what it's about for a lot of the people that are out there. There's just people that see that something's wrong in the world and they hear there's a gathering and they want to get out there and talk about it. And there's also, I mean, there's all kinds of different groups. But here's one other thing that's interesting about that day. So there was a person I used to know named Arthur, and um, I met him. My ex-girlfriend, she had friends. So this is the way I met this guy. My ex-girlfriend, she had a group of friends that she worked with, and we'd hang out with them. And then one day, Arthur and his girlfriend were also friends with that same group, and they came over, and I met Arthur, and Arthur was kind of into politics and talking about things. So him and I had an interesting conversation. This is like back in the time of Occupy too, and he there. See, I'm bringing this up because this Lisa Fithian, what they write about her, that she's a longtime professional and recruiter of younger people. I mean, this might all be well and true. It's just like I'm seeing why this is her day in the news. I never heard of Lisa Fithian before. Not to say she's not a real person, but the point is why she's a frontline story on this day. But what she reminds me of is down at the Occupy thing, there was this man always recruiting, older gentleman, and he was a persuasive talker, and he was really preaching communism. And the more I knew this Arthur guy, the more he was getting into this communist idea. And I debate with him, and I say, well, listen, yeah, there's a lot wrong with our government, but I mean, you go to a communist government, if you got the wrong people in there, it can be even worse than what we already have. And he was trying to explain why no, that couldn't happen. And I would say I had the same kind of thoughts back then, that we just need less government, less people ruling over us. Somehow a simpler, more just system that's easily understood, abided by. It's like this system we live in now, there's so much gray area and tricks and traps and ways to get extra penalties and end up in bars and with fees and fines beyond what the government already mandates, from taking away a huge percentage of your income each year. Some states, they also got the state income tax. But anyway, this Arthur kid, he's about the same age as me. And that day that the May Day thing happened, he wasn't part of that group that was all in black, moving like fish, throwing bricks through everything. But there was like a secondary, like B team of antagonists they created that day, and Arthur became one of them, and he ended up arrested that day. I ended up picking that guy up from jail, but the same guy who'd been recruiting down at Occupy, he got his group to go out and just like spray paint communist propaganda. So I'm just reflecting on it now, being 12 years later. I'm 40 years old now. I just see that the headlines now. It's this day again. It's the universities. It's the high ritualism. It also reminds me that when I first started this research, one of the first things I looked into was the history of the Ivy League schools, because I thought this system that's clearly in use, that's always paying tribute to the same numbers like 56. Again, for the person who's new here, go back to the COVID pandemic when Gavin Newsom became the first governor to lock down his state. He said 56% of California will get coronavirus in 8 weeks. That was his justification for locking down the state. 56%, 8 weeks. 8 weeks is 56 days. 8 times 7. In Gematria, Gavin Newsom equals 56, like coronavirus, like COVID vaccine, like Society of Jesus, like Anthony Fauci, and the list goes on. Again, Trump's Jesuit educated. 2020, when all that was going down, was 56 years after Trump's Jesuit education at Fordham. Cuomo, the governor of New York, the 56th governor of New York, also went to Fordham. On and on and on. 56 city. But it didn't just end there. 56 was big on 9/11. 56, this high ritual number. It's like a graffiti artist. He has a tag. You don't understand his tag until someone explains it to you. Once you understand the 56 tag, you see it. And Again, we've been all over the 56s with Shirley Chisholm, Barack Obama, and Ilhan Omar and their recent rituals connected to Colombia. And with regards to the Illuminati, again, it's their 248th birthday, Columbia University 248. Their symbol is the all-seeing eye, which has that gematria 56, like Society of Jesus. Again, Ilhan Omar's daughter was just arrested 56 days after her birthday. And if you missed these blog posts, and it was also on Ignatius Loyola Day, April 19th, the founder of the Jesuits who died in 1556. Again, the Jesuits were created in Paris, France, which is 56. But the daughter's name also equals 56. And from her birthday, February 22nd to it was in the news April 19th, Ignatius Loyola Day. April 18th was the day of the arrest. But 56 days later, 56. And again, Black Lives Matter, a lot of rituals with that in 56. It traces the Black Panthers, where all of their original meetings were in Catholic churches in the Bay Area. And then what they just did with Obama, again, these protests are dividing people amongst the Abrahamic religions. The word Abrahamic equals 56 forwards, 187 in reverse. There's 187 chapters in the Torah that the Abrahamic religions are based in, the Torah. 3 Abrahamic religions. Remember the word 3 written out equals 56, just like light equals 56, like God makes light in Genesis 1:3. We've been covering the whole Columbia thing by the numbers. We were talking about how this is all coming right up to the Illuminati's 248th birthday. The many rituals with Columbia, if you've been missing them. Kraft graduated from Columbia in 63. But hold on. This was the point I was making. This April 22nd date, the 113th day of the year, when it got all this focus, it was 263 days after Obama's birthday. That's the 56th prime number. Again, he won the 56th U.S. presidential election. He went to Columbia. He graduated in 83, the year Shirley Chisholm got out of Congress, who made history 56 years ago in 1968, the year MLK was assassinated in a Jesuit ritual. Barack Obama equals 68, like CIA. The CIA was created in a big Jesuit ritual. So yeah, and now we have the police raiding the same hall 56 years to the day. You know what I mean? The Shirley Chisholm movie with her at Columbia came out on the Ides of March 56, a date connected to assassination. 68 was a year of assassinations. Ides of March is to remember the assassination of Caesar, who was killed in 44 BC. Obama was number 44. Joe Biden equals 44. Trump was number 45, but the 44th person to be president. All of these people are invested in this election, and you can tell they're bringing us to this climax that will again repeat history. These people love to make history repeat. If they did something on the same day, it was RFK that got shot June 5th, 1968. Remember the ritual they did last year in LA where his dad was shot? They did it 263 days before the 5th day of the 6th month. 263 is the 56th prime. Now he has the VP nominee that has that same birthday. But yeah, if you missed the Shirley Chisholm post from, I covered it back when Netflix added the film. I mean, this is just following the progression. It just keeps building up. The numbers that we're highlighting just over and over. All right, UCLA today. Remember, the war began on Putin's 71st birthday, 71 days from the Pope's birthday, and 71 special because a big friction there in what we call modern day Israel is Temple Mount. And again, all these things equal 71. The Society of Jesus, Catholic, Talmud, Temple. In this case, UCLA as well. UCLA also has this 71 connection. And remember, many people say the Catholic Church is the whore of Babylon. Funny enough, both Babylon and whore of Babylon, small way, big way, have that gematria 71. So UCLA has this recurring 71 number in its acronym. And also, on top of that, we were just talking about this division among Abrahamic religions, which are based in the 187 chapters of the Torah. Again, Abrahamic equals 187. So does University of California, Los Angeles. So does Society of Jesus. So does Holy Roman Empire. So does Washington, D.C. So does George Washington. So is Ancient and Accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. So is Fraternal Order of Police. Big number is 187. Again, the protests and the programming on TV are about getting people to divide based on Abrahamic religion. And the media is programming how certain viewpoints are okay and others are not. You're hearing it. It doesn't matter really if you're watching CNN or Fox, you're getting the same idea, more so on Fox than CNN, but you're getting the idea that you're a bad person if it's actually a lot more on Fox than CNN, but you'll get it on both if you watch. You could say CNN, I guess, is a little more fair on this one. It's all propaganda. But on Fox especially, I don't think you'll find an exception on Fox. You are a bad person if you support Gaza. I mean, and it's really gross to listen to. Mike Johnson, when he was doing his ritual with Columbia, was talking about how this is an unacceptable viewpoint to support this terrorist regime. It's like hardly anyone supporting a terrorist regime. But then he's also saying it's irresponsible to refer to it as a genocide. This is, and then also we need to protect, like in the same thing where he's talking about this, now we need to crack down on this. Then he's talking about how important free speech is. It's like so Orwellian. Remember, Mike Johnson equals 56, like Washington, D.C., like Society of Jesus. He's the 56th Speaker of House at this climactic moment where they're calling him the new Winston Churchill. But yeah, I mean, it's total Orwell. And don't forget, Orwell's first book, the first number he mentions in his first book is 56. And he mentioned that in the one about the Burma campaign. Burma campaign equals 56. Captain Tom of the Burma campaign died in a huge 56 ritual 56 days after the first vaccinated person in the world, Maggie Keenan, whose name equals 56. And remember, he died 201 days from being knighted as well, Captain Tom. Known for the Burma campaign, dead from COVID, as both things are popping off in the world. And then, again, the makeshift government that was overthrown in Burma was set up on September 27th, the day in history the Jesuits were credited to counter or recognized by Rome to counter the 95 Theses. But yeah, coast to coast too, right? I mean, from New York to LA, it's symbolic. A mark across the nation. They got it coast to coast. On May Day, on the Illuminati's anniversary, with Columbia University, again, as the root, where it built up to this moment. I wrote this longer post on this, just connecting a whole bunch of things with just numbers and patterns and kind of. Anyhow, one thing I also wanted to point out about today being May Day, this Illuminati thing. Remember, Order of Illuminati equals 201. State of Israel equals 201. The Jesuit Order equals 201. The Holy Bible equals 201. Again, David Ben-Gurion died 201 days after the anniversary of Israel's establishment, the first prime minister of Israel. The founder of the Illuminati, Adam Weishaupt, died 201 days after May 1st, the anniversary of the Illuminati's establishment. But 201, big Jesuit number, Adam Weishaupt, Jesuit. The Jesuits, the Catholic Church, Biblical, the Holy Bible, 201. Catholic, 145. Again, Israel credited on 14/5 in a very Catholic Jesuit ritual and being used as this thing to purposefully provoke the Abrahamic religions. Again, so many people over the centuries have talked about how the Jesuits are political and manipulators and will do anything to get their way. And it seems that they learned a tactic of, like, when you destroy a people, they're much easier to take over. You just get them to fight amongst themselves. They don't see how you slip in and take away their rights and liberties, and you gain more control over them and more taxation over them and more exploitation over them. But again, we're deep in the game, and it's just like, it's sad that humanity is just being, the same stuff is being done year after year, and humanity's not learning because they're not getting the right information in front of them. I don't know if this presentation I'm doing today is the right information. But if this was presented the right way, a better presentation, you can see through the game that is being played and why you don't want to get played by it and you don't want to become part of it. This is some kind of mass manipulation. So if you're going out there and putting energy into it, you're putting energy into a purposeful manipulation and trap. But notice, from the start of the war today is 207 days. And I want to come back to this because this is the number that we were talking about on October 4th. It was a Wednesday. It was the day we did our TFR episode. And we talked about how October 4th, the 10-4 emergency alert tests in Russia and the U.S. on the same day were pointing to October 7th. And notice how that day, this article was posted at 2:07 a.m. And they put the emphasis on the word attention, remain calm, which is 2:07. The Hunt for Red October, which has a lot to do with war and Russia and nuclear fallout and all this, has that 2:07 big Hollywood blockbuster. Has to do with Jack Ryan, the Jesuit CIA-trained agent. Again, if you guys are new here, the CIA was founded on the 201st day of the Pope's age. The words in its logo, Central Intelligence Agency, United States of America, equates to 201. Their motto, the center of intelligence, the work of a nation, equates to 201. National intelligence equals 201. The Jesuit order, 201. On and on and on. But we're talking about how this 207 phrases that it connects to. The New World Order, 207. Here we are on the Illuminati's birthday, 207 days after the war began. Total chaos in the news, being instigated at college campuses, which is causing more lockdowns. But again, the point is understand all this being instigated by an order. October 7th, we were pointing out, equaled the 207 and how that was Vladimir Putin's birthday. And we were talking about how, well, a lot of things, how terrorist attack is 207, foreshadowing, and Trump's phrase, the storm is coming, just something going on with this number. And a number of things interesting here. October 4th is Trump's considered the grandfather of this alert going out on 10-4. It's the day leaving 88 days left in the year. Trump's 88, like Russian, like Vladimir. And again, just we were talking about how the 207th day of the year is his birthday. He's got this connection, an alert in Russia and the U.S., this friction with what's going on in Ukraine. And again, Jewish has the 88. And then boom, next thing you know, war breaks out in Israel. And yeah, if you want to read this older post, just come to my website, GematriaEffectNews, and search here. The title is Russia's 10:40 a.m. emergency alert. If you search that, you should find this post. But yeah, on the same day as the U.S., it was obvious something was up. We've been waiting all year for a bigger war event to break out in Israel. We talked about why that should happen on the day that Netanyahu came back, December 29th, 2022. And again, there's even things that fit in with New York in 207. And of course, the war broke out on the anniversary of us invading Afghanistan after the attacks on New York and Washington, D.C. Again, that was October 7th, 2001, whereas the war in Israel began October 7th, 2023. That's the day leaving 85 days left in the year. And again, Templars 85. The Jesuit motto, Isus Hominum Salvator, is 85. Columbia University is 85. The United Nations intervened on the 85th day of the year. Mike Johnson called on the leader of Columbia to resign 85 days from his birthday. Again, but all these things, Templars, Jesuits, Illuminati, all this stuff leads back to Italy and Rome. Illuminati is an Italian word. Jerusalem also equals 104, like Roman Catholic Church, going with that 10-4 alert. Again, just remind you how that Catholic Jesuit fingerprint is all over the modern day Israel. So yeah, he turns 71 in 2023. This post is from just days before. But that's what we were saying. This seems to be pointing to October 7th. Sometimes you can really read, what they're encoding. It can be helpful. It can expose who's pulling the strings. the legitimacy of the knowledge. All right, the Arizona Senate voting to repeal the Civil War era near total abortion ban. Again, 160-year ban in the first 15 weeks. It's typical for a developing baby's heart to reach beats as high as 160 beats per minute. Again, just a weird synchronicity, you guys. When this was first in the news, the day the 160 year abortion ban, that was the same day Sweet Lady saw the doctor, and he told her that the heart rate of the little baby was 160 beats per minute. The same day that they put that in the news. It's just so weird. Like synchronicity. It's like, God, how is this even possible? Studying this all this time and then the own life coinciding. It is weird. But it all made so much sense. I wouldn't have realized how important 160 was to the developing baby unless Sweet Lady came home with the news. But yeah, once again, abortion in 122, you guys. The 122nd day of the leap year is today, the day of this Arizona headline. Again, abortion's 122. Abortion's also 50. Today's date numerology is 50. May 1st, 2024. 5 plus 1 plus 20 plus 24 is 50. Again, they overturned Roe v. Wade in the 50th year of its existence. About abortion and satanic, both equating to 122 and 50. Again, 122nd day of the year is today. 50 date numerology. San Francisco also equates to 122 and 50. And that's where the Church of Satan was established. You know what's weird now that I think about it? Yesterday was the 58th birthday of the Church of Satan. Remember, Anton LaVey, the founder, died 201 days from his birthday and 201 days from the Pope's birthday. And the Jesuit order equals 201, and Catholic Pope's 201, and Pope Francis is the first Jesuit Pope, and his birth name, Jorge Mario Bergoglio, equals 201. His title, Pope Francis, equals 122 as well, just like San Francisco. And again, he's named after St. Francis of Assisi, like San Francisco on the 122nd meridian. But Pope Francis equates to 58, and Pope Francis joined the Jesuit order in 1958. So it is interesting how the Church of Satan turns 58, and just all that's boiling at this moment that is just so Jesuit is here we are on the Jesuit calendar, showing how it all syncs up. Again, the Illuminati, founded by a Jesuit. But yes, Norma, better known as Jane Roe, born September 22nd, 122 days before the 122 decision for Roe v. Wade. And as we talked about last week when this was in the news, abortion ban equals 666. Abortion ban 666. Number associated with the satanic. Again, it's the topic. It's the way the term is coined. It's the way it's used politically. This system is evil to keep people fighting over this issue. Again, just people voting for one or two parties year after year because they're so on one side of this issue, where those parties continue to sell them out and keep the divisive game going, because it's one of the only things that even brings people out to vote anymore, because most don't know the system's so corrupt and broken. But yeah, it's all voting for the lesser of two evils. Having to vote for parties that are about abortion or against it. Again, at the end of the day, nobody really wants to have an abortion. There's a number of ways the situation can come about. And I don't think it's a black and white topic. Like we talked about before, a young girl's raped. She's not ready to bring the child into the world. Or like I said, if we're going to make a law where the young girl who's raped has to bring a child in the world, like I said before, then the conversation needs to be, okay, that's the way the world needs to be, because that's justified and every baby's a miracle and no woman should have to ever potentially have the guilt that she got rid of a child and a life. If that's the conversation, then the other part of the conversation is we are going to create a real place for community, for mothers to raise healthy children so that they can be successful and the child can be successful. And that's not communist. I mean, that's just like, if we're voting on what, it's just such a complicated issue. But again, really the conversation should be about figuring out a way that society is going to make sure no woman is not supported if she's made to bring a life into the world when it wasn't planned and it was forced and it was through rape. I mean, Yeah, but it's just too bad that this is the world we live in. If we lived in our ancestors' world where we all knew where our food came from and our community and our neighbors and we worked together and we didn't have to give so much of our money to the government and on and on and on. I mean, if you lived in a world where you felt like you had a community and a neighborhood and people to back you up and help you when you were down, um, you'd probably feel a lot more confident about bringing a child into the world. And most people don't have that. So, I mean, that's why the conversation needs to be how to fix society. Why is society so broken? You fix the broken society, you're going to see the abortion problem fixed along with it. And by the way, just for paying this tribute to Roe versus Wade, as they're clearly doing, and abortion, just notice how Arizona and Roe versus Wade are both 39-42. Old Testament, 39 books. Thou shalt not kill. Some people think abortion's that clear, and that's why it is black and white, because it's murder. I mean, really, I understand both sides of the issue when it comes to abortion, I guess, but there really is something to making a young woman who was raped have to bring a child into the world. I mean, but yeah, it's just such I mean, you just see this is why they put this in code, and this is why they keep doing this. They know what they're doing. They know it's evil and messed up and manipulative, and that's what this gang is. And it's funny, you look through the warnings about the Jesuits for centuries. They weren't written about gematria and this code that they were doing, but they were written about just like that: manipulative, sinister, evil, killers. The ends justify the means is the only rule for the Jesuits. Again, they had to be suppressed by the Pope. Founders were worried about them. And don't forget, the Jesuits came out of suppression, synced up with James Madison. Where was the big popping off today in the morning? The first focus this morning was on Madison, Wisconsin. University of Wisconsin was the big story this morning. But there's been protests all over. It's just Columbia and UCLA have been at the top, but Wisconsin got it. Remember, Madison, Wisconsin lost to James Madison this year in the 85th March Madness. James Madison died at age 85. Did you catch that? How James Madison University beat the team from Madison, Wisconsin in the 85th tournament? But James Madison's the only president that equals 201, and the Jesuits came out of suppression in the time he was president. So I think that was part of the ritual. James Madison 201, like the Jesuit order, like Order of Illuminati. Madison, Wisconsin protests, focus in the morning. And again, just these 5 tortured skeletons found at a Nazi house, supposedly from the Latibra Foundation. I was trying to find some information online about who the Latibra Foundation is. There's not much out there, but it equals 101 like skeleton. If you guys haven't read my first book of Letters and Numbers, I talk about how 101 is the 26th prime and how bones equals 26. And now there's 206 bones in an adult body, key digits 2 and 6. And where 26 fits in with man being made in the 26th verse, Adam equals 26, so does God, and what it has to do with the stars above, and the idea that man's made from stardust, and where biblical concepts fit in with scientific concepts, God's creation of the world through numbered days and speaking it into existence almost out of nothing, like how science has the Big Bang. But yeah, that's the thing too. I just think about when you study this, it just makes you more thoughtful, and you just see the greater parallels between the things that are really made to divide us, like science and religion. Remember, the real King James, he was a Freemason and a Rosicrucian. He dropped at age 58. Freemasonry equals 58, like Rosicrucian, like secret society. Biblical also equals 58. So does science. Again, some numbers. A lot of depth to them, a lot of ritual to them. 58 is one of those big ones. The honorary degree of Freemasonry is the apprentice. Trump, the apprentice, wins the 58th U.S. presidential election after running from the 58-story Trump Tower. Again, Donald Trump runs on Mega, the highest degree of the Church of Satan. On the Church of Satan's 45th birthday, 45 days before Trump's birthday, Obama joked that Trump would be number 45. That wasn't a joke. It was, well, I guess it was, but just like one that most people didn't really have a clue about, and they still don't. These bones, though, found at this Nazis place that goes with the old Illuminati code. Hermann Göring, Bavarian Illuminati, both 80. The bones were found also at an area known as the Wolf's Lair, which equals 56, like Adolf Hitler, like Society of Jesus. Again, the Nazis were modeled after the Jesuits. Adolf supposedly dead at 56. These bones found, and the news breaks on Adolf Hitler's death anniversary. Again, his 79th death anniversary. When you run it the other way, Society of Jesus is 79. And keep in mind, Church of Satan, which has the Jesuit fingerprints all over it, is also 56, because these bones were found on the Church of Satan's birthday. Adolf Hitler, born April 20th, 1889, dead April 30th, 1945. All right, we talked about Lisa Fithian. The United Methodist Church today lifted a 40-year ban on the LGBTQ clergy. Remember, 40 is very biblical. 40 is all over the Bible. And we've talked about so many times how in Gematria, Old Testament equals 40, like United States. United States is 40 when you use numerology. Just the letters US using the alphabetic order. Use the 21st letter. S is the 19th. US is 40. United States with the alphabetic order and numerology applied is 40. Same cipher. Old Testament's 40. Remember, in Jewish Gematria, United States of America equates to 929. And there's 929 chapters in the Old Testament. And, just with regards to biblical jokes and homosexuality, let me see if I can pull this up real quick. Here. This was on the 54th day of the year. The FDA approved hold on. What was the number again? Okay, that's what it was. Or hold on. Yeah, it is. Okay, I want to make sure I had it right and didn't give out any misinformation. Okay, on the 54th day of the year, the FDA approved 54 new sizes of condoms, mostly targeted at homosexual men that were from ages 18 to 54 were used in the experimental group for these new condoms, ages 18 to 54. Remember, the word son equates to 18 and 54. And that was somebody's son used in that experiment with homosexuals and these new condoms. But 18 to 54, son 18 and 54, this Jesuit logo is the sun with the letters IHS 18. The FDA spokesperson who talked about these 54 new condoms on the 54th day of the year, her name was Courtney Lyas. She's like got lies in it. 54 and 72, just like Jesuit order, just like the protester in the news today. The woman that we were talking about, her name was 54 and 72, supposedly a recruiter of young people, turning them into instigators. And that might very well be true. Might just be like the older gentleman who hung out at Occupy in Seattle and converted minds like Arthur into violent communists. Anyway, they said there were 252 men in the trial of the 54 condoms. By the way, here's the sun and the IHS and the 54 and 18. I should have just scrolled down. 54 different sizes, but the 252 men in the trial group, Sodom and Gomorrah 252, right? This Old Testament story about homosexuality and God punishing. And remember, Old Testament, that's where the story of the biblical flood is, where God floods the world for 40 days and 40 nights because he's fed up with humanity, right? And we see how, like, these Jesuits, how they got technology to influence weather, manipulate weather in high ritual, destructive weather. Again, I mean, that's why people have to wake up to the game we're in and how behind the curve humanity is and how we're getting played for fools and all of our insurance rates and every rate, tax rate, cost of living, just in every way. Everything is rising because of an agenda. And again, that Jesuit Klaus Schwab at the World Economic Forum, he said by 2030, you'll own nothing, be happy. You see how it's happening with the escalating rates of prices, pricing people out of things. Like I said, Sweet Lady and I have been dealing with this financial problem because we tried to do something that we thought was a long-term plan to get ahead. but somebody hid something very serious from us and they didn't disclose it. And it's opened up this can of worms and this nightmare. And the people are like, yeah, it's too bad that you didn't have this problem a few years ago because it wasn't nearly as expensive. And it's just like, yeah, that's how everything is right now. So it's like before in the past, if you made a mistake, it hurt. You make a mistake these days, it's like as expensive as everything is, you're just even way further behind. And it's by design. It's because we're not stopping this system that's pricing us out of, the existence we've had, forcing us into a system where we just got to bend over and take it. But here, to come back to this, just to make sure I didn't miss anything else here with this, they did that story on a Wednesday named after Mercury the trickster. Okay. But yeah, the February 23rd, remember the Synagogue of Satan has that gematria 223. Philadelphia equates to 223 as well. The letter to the Church of Philadelphia about the Synagogue of Satan. So yeah, that's what year is that from now? 2022. That's in the all-time top of the list for like some of the biggest mockery that was ever done. But yeah, again, just who's manipulating these things? So here we are on the Illuminati's birthday, right? Today they transition from 247 years old to 248 years old. It's the end of being 247. If the Illuminati was officially founded at 5 p.m. in Bavaria, I don't know what time it was, but I'm just saying, that would officially be when it transitions from 247 years old in hours to boom, 248. United Methodist Church equates to 247. See what I mean? On the day of the transition to 248, the United Methodist Church, big shakeup, 40-year ban overturned. So now you can have homosexual clergy in the church. And you know what? Honestly, like Christians, I understand in the Old Testament, this is like what I don't get about most Christians. I don't know. I just feel like Christianity should be taught in a very simple way. And I'd still be a Christian if everyone taught Christianity this way and the people were actually about it. Live by the golden rule. Don't judge other people. Again, isn't that like the story of Jesus? Just going around trying to help people, hanging out with anybody, trying to help them get on the right path. It's like if you have a religion modeled after that, shouldn't that be the ideal that you behave as Jesus did to the best of your ability? But that's not what the religion's about for most people. But yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, ultimately, if you're living that way, I guess there should be able to be gay clergy because you're not judging them. And if you don't like it, you can go to another church. There's a lot of them. And yeah, the Bible does, the overall text does put off the idea that homosexuality is bad. Like God resents homosexuality. That's the idea in the Bible. But you also have to keep in mind that doesn't mean it's true either. Unless somebody knows definitively that the Bible is absolutely true. And I think anyone who claims that is dishonest. Could be mistaken. Maybe somebody has the ultimate evidence, but I as someone who was raised Lutheran certainly didn't, and I don't know anyone else that has in my own lifetime. Not even close. But yeah, and by the way, what year was that ban set in motion? If you watch the article, obviously 40 years ago was 1984. Infamous year, George Orwell, 1984. Remember what's funny about English? How we spell 40 a funny way. If you haven't read I make this point in both of my books, but I even had to make it again in Number Games. And if you read Number Games, it's like the most forced section of the book because I didn't really know where to put it in. But I just wanted to make the point about this weird thing about 40 and 84. So in the U.S., we spell 40 without a U. We spell the number 4 F-O-U-R. We spell 14 F-O-U-R-T-E-E-N. But we spell the number 40 without a U. And this has always bothered me. I see how far 40's 51 as well. You see how 40's 51? I'm going to make a point about this. May 1st is 51. May 1st is 51. And Adam Weishaupt, the founder of the Illuminati, is 51. Okay. And in this vote today, look at the vote. The vote by the church was 692 in favor of overturning the ban, only 51 dissenting votes. So go figure. But 40. I actually didn't mean to go down the 51 path. I wanted to go down the 84 path because 40 equates to 84 when the ban was set. And remember, United States has the gematria of 40. In Jewish gematria, United States of America, again, is 929, like the 929 chapters in the Protestant Old Testament. Okay? But yeah, United States, 40. U.S., the abbreviation, 40. Old Testament, also 40. 40 days and 40 nights and a whole lot more. 40 days in the wilderness and in the desert. Anyway, high ritual. And again, think about what it is too. They're always playing this game with us as time goes on. They're making history repeat, but they also play generations against each other. So for 40 years, it's grown in people that this isn't right. That's why we banned it from the church. We don't want gay clergy. Now you have the people that are so used to this. Now it's 40 years later and all of a sudden it's being overturned. And now they don't like it. It makes them uncomfortable. Now maybe they're leaving the United Methodists. They're giving up on all this. They're even more annoyed. Everything's annoying them. That's what I mean. Like, if the Christian ideal was just, listen, we're not getting played by any of this because we're not judging people. We're treating people right. But then I also think there needs to, again, people get, this is why people say that I'm bad, because they're like, who's Zach to say that Jesus was wrong? I'm just suggesting that if it's not really the story of God, some things that I take issue with, turn the other cheek. I think there is a time for turn the other cheek. I think it's usually good to turn the other cheek. But when is turning the other cheek become like too many times, and now you're jeopardizing your own life and your family's life and future generations' lives because you kept turning the cheek to this evil gang that just kept manipulating the world and playing it for fools and pitting people against each other. It's like, at the end of the day, I don't need to have any beef with any gay people. Gay people want to do what they want to do behind closed doors. That's fine. No, I don't want homosexuality marketed as this cool thing to a generation as what is going on right now. We've talked about how all this stuff's happening. But, and again, I mean, you just see how people are persuaded, how persuasive culture and entertainment and television and technology is. There's just way more gay people right now than ever, and that's because it's really hip. And again, people don't see it, but it's because the world leaders want less population. What's a good way to ensure less population? Homosexual couples. If you have a 10% more people that are homosexual than any generation before, it could be more than that. 15% more. That's 15% less population they're going to create. Just right there. Then you got all the other things they're doing. Needless war. Needless medical experiments. 99.9% survivable illness to almost everybody. But we got to get out the new jab, the new pokey doke from, this company run by a bunch of Jesuits over here, Moderna, that's never made one before. They're going to rush out something they've never made before. And then you got Pfizer. Nobody's been sued more in the world besides Pfizer and GlaxoSmithKline, who merged right before the pandemic. It was exactly 102 weeks before the I got to go back and double check. Maybe before their jab went live, it was something like that. But the two most sued companies in the world just happened to merge and make the most money off the pandemic. Most sued in the world for wrongful death and injury. And then this same media that wants to tell you you're a bad person, if you refer to it as a genocide in Gaza, well, did you not just show us that 40-some thousand people are dead? I mean, remember they used Title 40? Was it what? Go back and look. when Netanyahu declared war the day after October 7th, the thing that he used to declare war was something 40. It might have been Title 40, Executive Order 40. It was, we were talking about the 40 and religion thing back then. Dividing the people of the Abrahamic religions, using the Bible as ritual, programming a society to be more gay than it would otherwise be for all kinds of agendas, population control, but also to divide people and keep them fighting amongst themselves rather than seeing who the great manipulators are. Got Jerome Powell up there, Jesuit educated, head of the Fed. Today's 87 days after his birthday, like the Pope's 87, a lot of 87 stuff going on. What's this one? Right, I've been ignoring this story on the screen all day. Teen girl was found buried in a basement in New York in 2003. DNA evidence linked her to a woman who died on 9/11. Come on, man. I don't know why I've been ignoring that story. Let's look at this one in real time. In February of 2003, workers preparing the basement of a Manhattan building for demolition made a gruesome discovery. The skeleton of a teenage girl rolled up in carpet and buried in a concrete tomb. The victim was hogtied with an electrical cord. And again, here's the high vibration of our media. It's just always, just negative and fearful. And again, I mean, it just doesn't have to be this way. It's why I don't know why more people don't think about these things. Just imagine every day was positive things, how to make your life healthier, how to avoid trouble, how to make sure you can retire early. Just sound advice every day. Just really good advice every day, good information, the latest discoveries that are meaningful, what this person's figured out here about this problem. Here's a common problem. Here's a natural way to solve it rather than a whole bunch of drugs. I mean, this nightly news that's not only lying to people in the commercials, they're getting people to get this idea of getting on Ozempic for weight loss. I mean, it's just people are the people who don't listen to us and only turn into the news. It's like, don't you see how evil that machine is? It right now is trying to get you to lose weight through this drug with all these side effects. And again, I mean, part of the reason people are not exercising and being active and staying indoors and living sedentary life is because they're just so scared. They've been made so afraid in the 21st century. First, it was a terrorist could kill you anywhere. Then it's a mass shooter anywhere. Your kids are going to get kidnapped anywhere. Amber alerts everywhere. Yeah, and again, never before have there been so many people on antidepressants and anti-anxiety. Well, what do you expect when all the news and all the information being put in people's heads all the time is negative, negative, negative? The story goes on. The victim was hogtied with an electrical cord. A gold signet ring engraved with the initials PMCG was found within her remains. P is 16. M is 13, so that's 29. C is 3, so that's 32. G is 39. What do we always call New York? 39 land. If you guys are new here, let me get rid of this cipher. Just in the base ciphers, all 4 base ciphers. The abbreviation for New York, NY, is 39. The abbreviation for the city, NYC in reverse, is 39. New York, again, is 39. And it's way beyond the words. There's so much 39 with New York. New York, comma, NY, like you'd write it to the city on an envelope, 39. All 4 base ciphers hit a 39 for New York. So anyway, this girl found in New York, connected to 9/11, her initials. And who does their initials with like a lowercase c? It's like Mick, like Scottish. It's like, I see you. I see your BS propaganda, PMCG. There's a 69 too, 21, like 21 years ago. They're saying this is from 2003. Jesuits 21, 15, like today's 1/5, like the 15-week abortion ban. Illuminati 69, like May Day. A gold signet ring engraved with the initials PMCG was found within her remains, along with a bra. This thing about bra, hold on, where did it go? The name of this group that found the skeletons, the name of the group, I was looking at this too because I was like, what is this word? Where did it go? Late Bra Foundation, Latibra. But if you break it into words, it's Late Bra. I was like, what are they doing now? Messing with puberty? Making it, what's the next phase? So they make it so people are not sexually reproductive till a decade later. Everything's late development, late bra. I sometimes I was looking, I'm like, okay, are they coding the next phase of the agenda and this piece of propaganda here? But now I just come over to this and saying, okay, also in CNN's front page today, was found with her remains along with a bra, a 1969 dime, and a green plastic toy soldier. Detective Ryan Glass from the New York City Police Department told CNN. I mean, what like the part about the dime from 69 and dime is terminology to use to describe like a beautiful woman. For more than 2 decades, the unknown victim was nicknamed Midtown Jane Doe. Okay, Jane Roe is the Roe versus Wade thing, right? That's also in the news today. But yeah, Jane Doe's an unidentified body. Okay, Midtown Jane Doe because she was found in Hell's Kitchen neighborhood in New York City. Of course, the Church of Satan relocated their headquarters from San Francisco to New York. But this week, investigators finally revealed her identity, Patricia Kathleen McClone, a 16-year-old who lived in Brooklyn. Jesuit since the 16th century. Investigators believe Patricia was killed in the late 1969 or early 1970. Keep in mind, this is the year after 68 when the whole plan went into motion for 9/11. And buried in the basement of the building. With advanced forensics, they determined her parents' identity and where they lived in Brooklyn and scoured through local public documents. Police found a treasure trove of information, including her baptism card and school records, giving investigators a glimpse into the final years of her life. Numerous forensic tests linked her DNA to several people, including the mother of a woman killed in the September 11th, 2001 attack in New York City, Glass said. So they used this story to bring that back up, just constantly reminding of the propaganda. And again, just doing this on the Illuminati's birthday. Remember, Order of Illuminati equals 201, like the Jesuit order. The World Trade Centers were the Twin Towers, Twin 2. They came down, they became Zero Towers. They were rebuilt as One World Trade Center, 201. The original Jesuit University, Georgetown, their motto, both into one. They have in the story, with that information, they established she was an only child and was born on April 20th, 1953. Funny, that's the 110th day of the year. Like the World Trade Centers were 110 stories tall. Her parents are deceased, but investigators found documentation showing benefits she was receiving from her father, who died in 63, the year of JFK. Investigators also gained access to her middle school records and got more details about her life at the time. Her records showed she attended middle school in late 1968 and early 1969. With the information on her age and her being Catholic, her being married at such a young age, which wasn't out of the ordinary back then, we suspected that toy soldier had something to do with her possibly being pregnant at that time. Oh, are they saying that she was found dead and pregnant, huh? Catholic, the abortion story. Catholic Church historically very opposed to abortion. People caught up in the whole abortion thing and didn't want to look into the lies of 9/11 and the wars that were started and took all those innocent lives. I used to always talk about those type of abortion people. I'm like, how can you vote for the Republican Party, though, if you care so much about life? Because, they're happy to instigate war, which takes life as well. People are always like, well, I just think it's more evil to kill the innocent babies. They're both evil. You can't support these parties. These parties are only going to manipulate you. PMCG, was it really found or was it computer? I mean, that's the thing about this digital Orwellian age. It's so easy to make anything up. Could be a real ring that they've just kept in their little Collection of here's the right day to write a story about this one. How can we remind people of 9/11 today on the Illuminati's birthday? Here, hold on. What was her full name again? Oh, wait, they even got a part about Jimi Hendrix in here. Jimi Hendrix, part of that 27 Club. If you guys haven't read my first book, Letters and Numbers, there's a long chapter in that book on celebrity deaths by the numbers. Um, Her name was Patricia Kathleen McGlone. Just want to check out her name on this date. Her initials are interesting. Well. Patricia Kathleen McGlone equates to 105, like Order of Illuminati. It does look a bit like 1-5, like the first day of the fifth month. 222, like New York. Order out of chaos number, and then there's the 129. 129 is 201 in base 8 counting. Georgetown equals 129, the nation's first Jesuit university. The 399, I don't have anything for that. I mean, it has that 3-9 sequence in it in New York. That stands out. Patricia McGlone. Also has the 88 like Bavaria, Germany. 74, very special number. 146. Of course, that's like the flag's birthday. Hold on. I'm forgetting if there's some 146 stuff that matters. Whoops. Catholic Church does have that 69 in light of, again, story going back to 69, and they had to let you know that she's Catholic. And remember, New World Order is 69, the Jesuit Order is 69, Illuminati 69, May Day is 69. So 69 is a big number connected to today. Roman Catholicism. I'm missing a letter. Roman Catholicism has the 74 and 259 like her name. And then the 146. I'm forgetting something about the 146 right now. It's escaping me. Okay, and yesterday the young guy called in. And by the way, young guy, great job on the video. I just don't want to talk about it because it'll just make the trolls happy. I would spend less time on the trolls. If you spent months on the trolls, you would have been better served spending months on, getting some positive information out in the world. Don't let those trolls waste your time. But yeah, he also brought up the this Fallout series on Amazon, and we talked a little bit about yesterday how it was synced with the 87th birthday of the Pope, coming out in 24, originally supposed to come out on the 102nd day of the year. And then again, how the original video game that this is based on came out in October, which is the month in 1939 that Roosevelt approved uranium research, which led to the Manhattan Project. 1939, September is when World War II officially began. The next month, the U.S. begins officially researching, again, uranium to make big bombs. Fallout's about big bombs being dropped, changing the world forever. And if you watch the Fallout series, you'll notice how after the bombs are dropped in the opening minutes, when the world's destroyed, the next thing it says is 219 years later. And you see how Roman Catholics 219 and 132. Remember, so is Antonin Scalia. And I bring that up because he was the first Roman Catholic Supreme Court justice, and he died unexpectedly on 13/2, and then his body laid in repose at the Supreme Court on February 19th, 219. In 2016, it was a date with 57 numerology, like Supreme Court's 57 and Rome's 57 and Federal's 57. And by the way, Rome the other way is 51, going with all the 5-1 stuff today with May Day and the Illuminati. But all these numbers, very interesting. And with regards to it being synced up with the 87th birthday of the Pope, it came out 115 days after the Pope's birthday. Nuclear equals 115. You could also say it came out on the 116th day of the Pope's age, and nuclear war is 116. World War and Art of War are both 102. Again, the Jesuit text Art of War. The reason we know about it is because of the Jesuit priest Father Amiot, who translated it. Sun Tzu, no historical record he ever existed. The Jesuit logo's the sun. The star in the film, Ella Summer Purnell, equals 217. Last year in the summer on 21/7, they put out the movie Oppenheimer. So we're coming up on that big anniversary. We know how Oppenheimer cleaned up at the academies this year by the numbers. But yeah, if I get time, I'll check out this show and see what stands out. So, and you know what else is weird? I searched Illuminati on YouTube today, and an ad came up for the Illuminati official website. And I don't know if I've ever noticed this before, but I've never clicked on the link. I did click on the link today. If you guys search like for Illuminati videos and the ad comes up, the website is illuminati-fraternityofficial.org. I was like, is this a joke? I've never noticed this before. It very well could be a spoof, but I just never seen it before, and I've never been to this website. But I thought it was funny. I was just looking for a little documentary, see if anyone's got a new good one on the Illuminati. And I never even accomplished that mission. I just got sidetracked by this website. I thought, what in the world? If you want to do a little exploring and you're like me and you didn't know this was out there, illuminati-fraternityofficial.org. Okay. All right, let me see if there's any other breaking news before we wrap this thing up. More than 400 arrests. Remember, we just passed that 400th anniversary of slavery in the Americas. And it was a handful of years ago now. It was back in 2019. But again, they do try to, for people paying attention, they do try to put ideas in people's heads like, well, wait a minute, this kind of protest doesn't get this kind of attention, but then this one does. You can protest against this group and get away with it, but if you do it against this group, you know, you got the law coming down on you, expulsions, pressure from the government. Again, that's programming. A sane person who has their own mind is like, well, wait a minute, this is not this is not fair. This is biased. And it certainly is. Yeah, I guess just to close out with one more thing about today's stream. If you guys know who Adam Green is of No More News, again, years ago he went to Israel, which was weird because he spends all of his days blaming Israel for everything. But when he came back from Israel, I was the first person that he wanted to interview, and he took down the interview the very next day after we did it. Now, to date, I don't know if he's ever taken down any other interview he did. But back then he had a guy that was his friend named Handsome Truth, and they've split up, and Handsome Truth has become a lot more radical than Adam with No More News is. But I was telling both of them back then that they just couldn't blame Jews for everything, and there were other factions of what's going on in the world. And again, we're on the Catholic Church's calendar, and the Jesuit Christopher Clavius is responsible for the calendar. Again, in their century, the 16th century, all of these things synced up. You learn this little code that we're talking about, and you can see day after day how these rituals unfold, and they pay tribute to this Jesuit history and the Bible as we know it, especially the English versions, which were numbered and put out around the same historical moment that the calendar was established and the language established with 26 letters. All of these things at the same time. And again, you can start to look at how, again, the people who rule over us are clever. They do make it apparent, if you're paying attention, that Jews are more protected than other groups. There's no doubt about that. But does that mean that Jews are the ones responsible for these decisions? Because again, we can go back to the New York Times, Jesuit controlled, in their October 6, 1940 headline that says New World Order pledged to Jews, which was a date with 75 numerology, where New World Order equals 75. And so does Roman Catholic, and so does Catholic Church. So is the word order itself. And right now, the leader of the Jesuits and Israel are both 75. Again, Adam Green, like right now, is, just hyping up the hysteria even more about how it's Jews and refuses to shine a light on the, again, what I would say is a much more important piece. Who is actually making it this way? It's meant to keep people saying, well, that's not fair. And then some people blaming that group, saying, oh, they're getting all the preferential treatment. I don't like that group anymore. I hate that group. It's BS that it's always that group that's so protected. Again, though, I think this is all part of the very clever strategy to get all the different ways of people to see things from different angles and fight and not connect the dots well enough and align to stop the thing that really is doing the manipulating. Because again, you talk to most Jewish people, they might feel the exact same way you do as a non-Jewish person about, yeah, I do see the preferential treatment. No, I don't think it's right. And I'm sure there's all kinds of Jewish people who look at what's going on in Gaza and they're saying, well, this looks kind of like what Nazis did to Jews. This is not right. I don't want this done in my name. My ancestors' negative history isn't a justification to do this in this moment. And that's the game they're always trying to play too. They're always saying, because this happened to your ancestors way back when, then now we can justify this right now. And it's like, how do you ever get over the past if you don't move on? I mean, imagine if you were that way with your neighbors, right? Like maybe somebody's great-great-grandfather. Just imagine like a community where everybody just lived on the block and like the family passed on their house to their child, or the grandfather always passed on their house to the grandchild, something like this. But just imagine this community of people over centuries, and maybe a long, long time ago, somebody's great-grandfather did something really bad, but it's like, we're trying to move on, but somebody's always bringing that up, and it's always got to be a big fight over something that happened 100, 200, 300 years ago. And then other people are like, well, we there needs to be some kind of justice for that thing that happened way back then. Again, can't everyone just see that at the end of the day, don't you wish you just lived in a society where people treated each other better and it wasn't just always the latest unnecessary, big emotionally tied thing, whether it's a war, a terror attack, or a pandemic supposedly, or this. It's just, again, you see how all of these events are being orchestrated, and then again, they just cause the schisms that happen in society. You might recall when Trump took office, the mainstream media was focusing on how much divorce was up because of Donald Trump, because he was so polarizing within married couples. And, honestly, I don't think that was the main catalyst in my sister getting divorced, but she did get divorced in the time of Trump. And, I'm sure things kind of did come to a head because her husband was always kind of more conservative, right wing, listening to like Michael Savage and, those group of guys on the radio. And then she wasn't like that. She's more liberal, listening to NPR. And then he kind of liked Trump and she totally hated him. But again, all of these things, Donald Trump and beyond, Jesuit fingerprints and puppet strings all over all of them. And just too, like how CNN likes to keep showing this one clip over and over. I mean, it looks like there's some carnage in the background too. But understand, a lot of these people that are making things violent, they're here just to make this point too. Again, it's just like 12 years ago. 12 years ago, I got gassed by the police, even though I wasn't one of the instigators. I was just kind of there documenting what was going on and taking in note how this. You guys missed the story earlier. Again, 12 years ago was the Meade Ave protest in Seattle. There were a lot of people that were there for a lot of different reasons, but there was a trained group that came in and created a lot of chaos and destruction, which brought the gas on the crowd of people. And, you see a lot of people getting shoved around there. They might not have been the people that instigated anything, right? They were just there, and then the instigator comes in and sets off the moment, and the next thing you know, you got the police doing this to you. So, and then it's what the TV's focused on. Look at all the chaos and just look at our young people. Look, Fox News on right now. These people out there deserved it. I mean, they're out there cheering on the terrorist. I mean, they should all be ashamed of themselves. And then how they make it all political too. You know, they're probably all just got their tuition reimbursement from Biden, so they don't even care if they get expelled. In fact, they'll probably get a definite refund from Biden if they do get expelled. And again, all this stuff is craziness. I mean, just the fact that we allowed the cost of education to get so high. And understand, when your government bails out its students who can't pay off their tremendous debts, what happens with the payout? Well, the payout comes from us, the taxpayers, who pay off those debts by taking out a loan from a central bank that, over the course of paying off that debt, the however many billion or trillion it costed up front, it's going to be double that by the time we pay it off with the interest on it. So it's really double what they present to us. And all that other half is all profit for the ruling class. Again, just this whole system, it was, I just wish there was a way to just get everybody to just like think about ideas that were argued at the beginning of the nation that we learned about in slave school. That in a way it's good we learn about them, because if you can get people to think about it clearly. But yeah, there were founders that did not think we should have a central bank, because they said if there was a central bank, it will just take over the nation. And I think that's what has obviously happened. People that just want chaos and destruction all the time because it's just more and more money for them. And as they get richer and richer, they can just buy up more and more. You see, it might as well be the Black Rocks of the world. The only people that can afford to buy homes these days are banks and hedge fund managers and these massive trust things. Anyway, don't forget, World Economic Forum is a partner with BlackRock. Klaus Schwab, you'll own nothing and be happy by 2030. All right, that's the CNN footage. Fox News isn't doing anything too much different. But you see, it's a little bit different. I guess the CNN one's kind of like meant to provoke, like, ooh, look how violent that police officer's being with that guy who's just standing there. So that's kind of the CNN angle. They want to push that, I guess more the Black Lives Matter, Antifa angle. But then Fox News has got the cop tearing down the homeless encampment, or in this case, it's the protesters' brand new $200 fold-up tent. Who paid for that? I get tired of all the George Soros stuff, too. George Soros is such a puppet on the world stage. This stuff's probably all paid for with our black budget from our military. George Soros, he's probably propped up with the black budget, gets to be the character on the world stage that, again, you turn on Fox News, that's all you're getting. Oh, you'll never believe who was behind tonight's mass protest. George Soros again. Everyone thinks they're in the know. Oh, yeah, I watch Fox News. I know George Soros is running the world. Next thing you know, George Soros kicked the bucket. Nothing's changed one bit. Who are they going to blame now? Bill Gates. It'll be Bill Gates tents. Bill Gates is a big 201 puppet. Don't get me wrong. I can't stand Bill Gates. I'm just saying. It's like, no, it's not these characters. It's about powerful organization that the founders warned about. Came out of suppression shortly after this nation was established, and they are the Jesuit order who founded the Illuminati. That's why today is as it is. How's MSNBC cover it? MSNBC is like, we're doing something different. We're very focused on Michael Cohen and Donald Trump in the trial. Arizona rancher gets the Kyle Rittenhouse treatment after mistrial. Remember the Kyle Rittenhouse thing was a big 56 ritual. Some people think he attended that school out in Connecticut that was shot up 56 years after its establishment in 56 by Adam Peter Lanza, which equals 56. And then on that same day in history, years later, a different type of shots happen. COVID vaccine equals 56. Like coronavirus, the COVID vaccine goes live on the anniversary of Sandy Hook shots. And then that list goes on too. Steph Curry's ritual the next year on the anniversary of the shot. The mayor of New York at the time saying, get your third shot. Steph Curry is setting the 3-point record in New York with Ray Allen watching, who went to UConn, who played Jesus Shuttlesworth and He Got Game next to Jesuit-educated actor Denzel Washington. See how the BBC covers it. Police move in on University of Texas at Dallas protesters. Interesting. Dallas, where JFK happened. So we're moving on to Dallas. California governor criticizes police response at UCLA. Jesuit Gavin Newsom is 56 years old right now. He's got that October 10th birthday. It's the day leaving 82 days left in the year. So what's that make today? Today's 204 days. Is that right? 204 days after Gavin Newsom's birthday? I think so. Jewish mysticism has that gematria 201, and when you run it the other way, 204. UCLA, their great basketball coach, has a long history of 201, the one that won them all the championships. Anyway, Columbia college community shattered by a police raid. Again, on the 56th anniversary of raiding the same building. Is Hamilton Hall named after Alexander Hamilton? Hamilton Hall, Columbia. Does it have an explanation? Here we go. The Wikipedia is an academic building. This is Hamilton Hall on the Morningside Heights campus of Columbia University on College Walk West 116th Street at 1130 Amsterdam Avenue. There it is, the 1130. Remember, the whole Columbia protest began on the 113th day of the year. And it began 113 days from the head of the school, who Mike Johnson asked to resign. Again, Columbia University has that 113. Special number from the Talmud, where it says it's okay to lie to certain groups of people. But Columbia University's got the 113. April 22nd, the day it became the focus with the protests. That was the 113th day of the leap year. Columbia University, again, 85 as well. This war has a lot to do with 85. Beginning October 7th, the day leaving 85 days left in the year. The United Nations intervening on the 85th day of the year. Mike Johnson taking on the head of Columbia University 85 days from his birthday. And again, like I said, the protest began 113 days from hers. But yeah, the Hamilton Hall address is perfect. It's got the 113. Again, protest 113. High ritual, repetitive numbers, same lesson since forever. It was built from 1905 to 1907. So that means this year, if 1907 is when it opened, that means this year is 117 years. Central Intelligence Agency's 117. 13 is 117. CIA is 13. CIA creating a big Jesuit ritual again. That could be a coincidence, though. I wouldn't say that's a super convincing reason that it's 117, but it could be. It was built in 1905 to 1907 and was designed by McKim, Meade and White, in the neoclassical style. The building was part of the firm's original master plan for the campus. The building was the gift of the John Stuart Kennedy, a former trustee of Columbia College, and is named after Alexander Hamilton, who attended King's College, Columbia's original name. Okay, so that makes sense. Alexander Hamilton. Let's just see. His birthday is January 11th. The raid on the 56th anniversary was last night, April 30th, which was the 121st day of the leap year. That means that this raid was 110 days after his birthday, and president is 110. President's got that 110. Or hold on. Am I tripping about Hamilton? Hamilton was not a president, was he? No, Hamilton was not a president, but an important founder. It was 110 days after his birthday. It was also his 111th day of his age. And again, that's the big New York number. Like how this year, the playoffs for the NBA and NHL began for the first time in history on the exact same day, the 111th day of the year. New York 111. The Knicks scored 111 that day. Again, the Knicks lost to the Royals in the 111th World Series after Matt Harvey got pulled with 111 pitches on November 1st. Hosmer knocked in the first run of the game in that last deciding game for the Royals, stepping up to the plate with a 111 batting average. Anyway, September 11th, the day leaving 111 days left in the year. So maybe that's actually what they're doing. Hamilton born 111, 110 days after his birthday, or his 111th day of his age. And let me check something about Columbia too, because, or not Columbia, but Columbus. Columbus is 110. Remember, it's named after Christopher Columbus. Columbus 110. Columbus is also 106, which has been a present number, as we've talked about in past posts. Christopher Columbus also 106. He was the first Secretary of the Treasury, the 8th senior officer of the United States Army, a delegate to the Congress of the Confederation. Died in a duel. Gotta go back and revisit my Alexander Hamilton history. A duel, though. A duel. Okay. That's something to think about with, like, how, again, today. Okay, let's think about that. Let's really think about that, because if you turned on the news today and you watch the news, they're talking about how this raid happened on the 56th anniversary and it was 1968. And again, they're talking about the assassinations in 1968. Hamilton was shot in a duel. Hold on. Hold on. They'd love to make history repeat itself. So, the Burr-Hamilton duel. Oh, look at that. It happened on July 11th. What was I just saying about 117? How this building, okay, it's starting to make more sense. The building opened 117 years ago, 117, and the Burr-Hamilton duel was on 117. Remember, that's the day George Tenet of the CIA left office. About that CIA connection. It was 219 years ago. We were just talking about 219. Roman Catholic 219. What they do in the new Fallout movie. What they did with Antonin Scalia. Scalia died on the 44th day of the year. Kill equals 44, like execution. Also shooting. Fateful number in shootings. JFK was the 44th term president. This was 220 years ago. 220 years ago. I think I know a 220. Let me see if I'm tripping. I think it's Donald John Trump. Remember the Trump tombstone back from when he was running the first time? Donald John Trump. 220. Trump said he could shoot somebody in the street and he'd get away with it. Between Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton. He died the day after being shot, July 12th. It's kind of weird. 127 kind of reminds us of buildings 1, 2, and 7. On the day leaving 111 days left in the year, he's born 111, dies on 127. It was 183 days after his birthday that he died. Order out of chaos is 183. Joe Biden did a nice 183 ritual with Pearl Harbor. You know what else is 183 is Pearl Harbor. And I'm just thinking about, because Pearl Harbor is the other date that can be written 12/7. He died on 12/7 Hamilton, 183 days after his birthday, December 7th, 127. Let's see real quick. This raid was yesterday, April 30th, and July 12th, 2024. That's interesting. It's 83 days later. Wait, hold on. I wrote 20 instead of 30. My bad. Wrong date. It's 73 days later, or a span of 74 days. 74 has been faithful to presidents. 3 of the first 5 died on 7/4. Killing is 74. 73, sacrifice is 73. It's 2 months and 12 days, and New York City's got that 212 area code. Columbia. Here, I want to see what their phone number is. Are they in the 212? They are in the 212. Huh. It's all very interesting. It's all very interesting. They compare it to the 68 assassinations. Alexander Hamilton is 77, and that's how old Trump is right now. Remember, United States equals 77, secret society 77. So Donald Trump, he'll turn 78 later this year on June 14th, but he's 77 right now. Make that bigger. June 14th, 46th birthday, 77 years old. Because they've been playing this game with Trump, and remember, it doesn't mean that he's going to get us. There could be an attempt story. Ronald Reagan survived an assassination attempt. They said he survived an assassination attempt November 5th, 2016 in Nevada. But hold on, I know what I want. This Trump tombstone stories from way back in the day. Trump tombstone. This is when he was running the first time. Trump tombstone. We couldn't figure out why they were coding 523 back then. Donald Trump equals 523 in satanic gematria, which is the 99th prime number, like the Illuminati was founded on 99 date numerology. This story was from the 88th day of the year. Of course, Trump is 88. He's Mr. 88, like Oprah asked him in 88. But yeah, this is from March 28, 2016. So over 8 years ago now. Made America Hate Again. Again, that's what they put on the Trump tombstone. Made America Hate Again. They wrote his birth year to dash blank. Didn't tell you when. But I forget what that phrase, made America hate again, is. Let me go back and check that. Made America hate again. God, it's crazy. It's 85, like this war began on the day, leaving 85 days left in the year. Again, Columbia University's got the 85. 122 goes with the whole Isus Hominum Salvator. America and Freemasonry are both 139. So is the Bavarian Illuminati. But yeah, Alexander Hamilton. Okay, we found some interesting things. I'll look more into it. I'm sure there's more to it. It is very interesting. That was 220 years ago. And the way they talked about this today in the news. How about this down here? It says, in 1786, Hamilton led the Annapolis Convention to replace the Articles of Confederation with the Constitution of the United States, which he helped ratify by writing 51 of the 85 installments of the Federalist Papers. And then that's James Madison, Mr. 201, who was the president when the Jesuits came out of suppression. Madison's the big name on the Federalist Papers. Okay. All right. All right. All right. The young guy wants me to take some calls again. Okay. We got to be real quick with the calls. Before I take some calls, though, I got to plug our friend Amy. In case somehow you have not heard me talking about Amy in recent days, we've been trying to raise some funds for her. She runs the website cracktheircode.org and the YouTube channel Crack Their Code, which is all one word. And she's done great work. She's been a great help to the community, spreading the knowledge, doing a good job presenting it. doing good independent research. And again, just recently, things, dominoes in life went against her. Health ailment came up, needed an unexpected surgery. The next thing, her father fell ill. She's taking care of her father. She's missing time. She's got bills. And then sadly, her father passes away. And yeah, she's just been left with some big bills, got behind on work. Now she has to take care of her father's funeral and can't believe how much that costs. And yeah, again, if you've just ever been there and you sympathize and you got an extra dollar and you'd like to send it to a friend of the research in the community, literally. I mean, Amy's done a great job. If you guys are not familiar with Amy, please check out her website, cracktheircode.org. THEIR, that form of there, cracktheircode.org. And then her YouTube channel, Crack Their Code. And yeah, if you appreciate what she's doing and you can find a dollar, if you can afford more than a dollar, her bills are due tomorrow, so I'm sure that she'll live on. But I imagine if she can't pay the bills by the day, they probably start saying, okay, well, you owe this X amount more if it's not covered by this date, the way those types of things usually go. So yeah, thank you again to everyone who has helped out Amy. There have been a lot of generous contributors, but there's still a ways to go. So if you got a dollar and you sympathize, and help somebody get back up in the community, she's on CashApp. That's the number or the way to help her out on the screen. $Amy CTC. And Amy, I'm going to send over another transaction because yesterday I told people I would take PayPal. And there were a few PayPals that came in. So I'm going to send over a little bit more for Amy. It was somebody sent 18, somebody sent 20, and somebody sent 2. So thank you to those 3 people. And yeah, again, we're here for you, Amy. I hope you're doing better. And again, thank you to everyone who helped her out. It was much appreciated. And shout out to Nathan as well, Disambiguation 144. I appreciate that. Okay, for the young guy who wants to join the stream, I got to be off here in less than 10 minutes. So we got to be efficient with the time. So if you're out there, young guy, I'm about to drop the link and you can come plug the new calculator. Oops, I didn't mean to. I hit the wrong thing. But yeah, the link is in the chat. So hop on in here. Let me get the right thing back up there. Shout out to RPM Trey Vietnam too. If you guys don't follow RPM Trey, usually I don't have a shirt on right now, but a lot of times I'm wearing his shirt or his hoodie. He's got a great campaign, Hug an AR owner. Give RPM Trey a sub, a like, and if you want to help his merch campaign, his gear is definitely high quality. And again, Amy also is a great person to help out right now. All right, what's up, young guy?
Hey Zach, what's up? Here, let me put I just put the link to the calculator in the chat, so you can put that up on the screen. Sadly, you can't search for it on Google, but I did change the name, and it's no longer Smoke Meth All Day. I figured out how to change my GitHub username, so now it's Particle Rift. So that I think that's probably a lot better. So something that I missed with the Fallout thing was so there's one of the so this game, they've made like a bunch of these games, right? And one of the really big releases was one called Fallout 76. Um, and of course, Fallout 76, I also noticed that the whole, in the story they're talking about like vaults, and vault equals 76. Um, and it also reminded me of the whole, the movie that just came out. I remember there was also something else. I think that the war happened in 76 or something like that. Or I think in one of the episodes it was like showing stuff taking place in the year 76, like 2076. And I noticed that, yeah, in the Obama movie, The Leave the World Behind, they had the whole 76, and in the beginning, they're showing 76, and Barack Obama equals 76. So I
And
thought,
then again, when they had the cell phone thing here in the U.S. and the news media was even paralleling it to that movie, it was 76 days after it debuted on Netflix.
yeah,
Yeah, indeed.
yeah, exactly. Oh, and I also wanted to say about the video. I'd like to see you react to it live on the stream. I wouldn't worry about the trolls. I'll
No,
talk to you
I
about
would
that
because
later.
it but I'll tell you what, I was watching it and your animation for when the garbage can rocket takes off, I laughed at that part. So
Did
yeah,
you
I didn't
go to the?
understand some of it. Uh there's room for improvement. I'll tell you that much. I'm not sure I like the introduction with like me saying a million different things at once. Like, I don't think most people are going to get that. I think what you're trying to communicate is that while I'm doing all this work, I got this weirdo in the background who hangs around the trash can who's always trying to instigate. So, is that the angle you were going for?
Do you want to just react to it on my channel?
I
And
don't
we
want to
don't.
react to it because no, that's what the trolls want, man. I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
they want us to react to what they're doing.
Yeah,
I'm
one of
just
them's in jail. He's gone. And the other one, he's gonna continue doing whatever. And then the other one, I do have a solution for him. I took some time the past couple of days, and I think that I finally did something that's gonna end what he's doing for good. Um, so I don't think that we really have to worry about them anymore. And he's gonna keep going on what he's going. If you play the video, I noticed right when the video dropped, he kind of he was a little bit less angry. I was watching his stream, and he was like a lot less angry and more like cooled down. And he thought that the video was funny. So I guess it kind of had a more positive effect on him um, than I thought.
okay.
But yeah, yeah. Last time I made that April Fool's video, I didn't get to see a reaction. I thought it'd be cool seeing seeing what you think of it live in the stream.
Yeah, again, I just feel like it's gonna just make the trolls more active. So,
But yeah, that's all I had. I'll get off now. And I'll be back another time.
all right, take care. Okay. Sometimes when you're a teenager, you don't have it all figured out yet. But yeah, we're trying not to give the trolls the attention because that's what they want. I noticed that with less people talking to them, they're also a lot less active these days. Okay. We will leave it there for now. I do got to hop off. Again, thank you to everyone who hits the like and the share. Thank you to everyone who's on Cash App who can support Amy. And for the person who said enough with this kid, well, again, he can be helpful. And again, if I wish there were more people that wanted to be helpful, and I wish they were older than teenagers. But well, I give him the benefit of the doubt. But yeah. Um, anyway, I like to give people the benefit of the doubt, but yeah. Well, one of the trolls might be behind bars, but again, he's not the instigator troll. He just joined in recent months, didn't he? The other guy's been trolling every day like a psychopath since August 1st. So anyway, we'll leave it there for now, you guys. And again, thank you to everyone who hits the like and the share. And until next time, Truth Seeker.